All right, guys, welcome to the show. So today we're going to talk about Mike Johnson, the AI-generated Republican, who is now their Speaker of the House, and how much of a lunatic he is. We'll also get to Nikki Haley was absolutely dogpiled for basically saying we shouldn't have free speech when it comes to Israel. We should be much more censorious and restrictive on that issue. Then we'll get to Trump's cognitive decline. He gave us some awesome moments recently that are hilarious. I'll give you a little spoiler now. In one of those moments, he says, this is not a joke, that some former Republican congressman can do things with his tongue you wouldn't believe. He actually said that, so that's glorious. Then later on, Fetterman is confronted in public over his position on Israel, and it is an incredibly infuriating moment. And we will also talk about Bill Maher. He has made an endorsement for president, and the person he endorses may surprise you. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. And guys, do me a big favor. Please click subscribe to the channel. Please click that bell icon so you get a notification every time a video drops. This stuff helps the channel tremendously, and it costs you nothing. We're trying to keep growing the channel as much as possible. And remember, you can always support the show on Patreon, link below. I've never had a conversation with an advertiser. You guys help fund this show from the ground up, and so any help you can give is deeply, deeply appreciated. All right, let's dive into it. Mike Johnson is the new Speaker of the House. The way they picked him was adorable and hilarious. They were basically scrambling and had no idea what to do, and they went originally with Scalise, then they said no, then Jordan, then they said no, then eventually they came to Tom Emmer, and they said no, and then they were like, maybe McCarthy with Jordan as an assistant speaker. They said no, and then finally they're like, I don't know, take this asshole. So this guy, Mike Johnson, look, my theory as to why he became speaker is very simple. He probably is interpersonally very likable, and so like the Matt Gaetz wing and the McCarthy wing, they both just like him as a person, and so they thought, okay, well, we all seem to like this guy. Let's just go with him and let's get it over with. And that's what happened. But the thing about this guy is that he is psycho even by the standards of other Republican speakers. And that bar that's a low bar. And he's gone below the lowest bar imaginable. So one of the things we pointed out the other day is he was in favor of criminalizing gay sex. So let's be clear. This isn't just like he's against gay marriage. No, of course he's against gay marriage. So almost all the Republicans were in the recent past. He's in favor of criminalizing gay sex. Keep that illegal. He wants to punish abortion doctors by sending them to a hard labor camp. This is who this guy is. He's an evangelical Christian. Absolutely out of his mind. Okay, well, he sits down with Sean Hannity. Yippee, this is going to be good. And he weighs in on what we're seeing overseas with Israel and Gaza, and it gets very crazy very quickly.
Now, we can't allow Vladimir Putin to prevail in Ukraine because I don't believe it would stop there, and it would probably encourage and empower China to perhaps make a move on Taiwan. We have these concerns. We're not going to abandon them. We want to be cooperative. We need to work together on this, but we owe it to the people to know what the plan is, where the money's going to be spent, and we need some auditing for the dollars that we've already sent over there. These are not tough questions, right? One thing that House Republicans are resolved on is that we must stand with our most important ally in the Middle East, and that's Israel. We will. We certainly hope that it doesn't come to boots on the ground. If it comes to that, and we communicated this to the White House staff as well today, that we have the Article 1 power in the legislative branch of government, and they have Article 2. They have very limited authority on what they can do to respond without coming to Congress to seek consent. And even my Democrat colleagues, Sean, that are at committees of jurisdiction understand this, in the Foreign Affairs Committee.
So he's talking there about, hey, it's on the table for us to put boots on the ground for Israel. So you want U.S. troops to fight Hezbollah in Lebanon or Iran for Israel. And he's openly talking about this, like, hey, if it comes to that, what are we going to do? I was told by MAGA people that Republicans are the new anti-war party. That's what I was told. All of a sudden, you got the new Speaker of the House who's like, hey, war for Israel? Maybe. Jesus Christ, this is dark, man.
comments made by the leaders of Iran that they themselves may get involved in a conflict. If that happens, correct me if you think I'm wrong, I would say all bets are off in the Middle East. We could have a full-out war in the Middle East, Israel at the center of it. And at that point, if Israel's existence is put in jeopardy, I don't think Prime Minister Netanyahu, who I've known for almost 30 years, I don't think there's anything he won't do to preserve and protect his country from people that have committed their lives to destroy it.
So I think that's a hint at maybe he'll use nukes. Maybe Israel will nuke Iran. That's what that sounded like to me. Now, you could say I'm reading too much into it. I'd recommend going back and listening to it again, because it sounds like that's what he's implying. I don't think there's anything he won't do to protect Israel. Well, anything?
Has to do that. And around here, people throw around the phrase existential threat. They have an existential threat every day. I mean, their neighbors want to eliminate them and wipe them off the map. So Prime Minister Netanyahu is resolved. I've spent time with him personally. I know him as well. I think he's a strong leader at this important time, and I think he's going to do what is necessary. And America will back him up. I mean, they tell us when we're in Israel, and you've been there, they say the reason that we are able to sustain ourselves and survive is because everyone knows that our big ally is America. We know that Iran is directly tied to all this. These are Hamas and Hezbollah are proxies of Iran. And they're tied in now with Russia and China. I mean, it is a new axis of evil. That's how we see it. And so it has to be addressed accordingly.
He just gave the new axis of evil line. This is the framing that Netanyahu has been going with, and this is the framing that right-wing psychopaths have been throwing out there. They very directly view October 7th as their 9/11, and they want to react in the same way the U.S. reacted after our 9/11. We illegally and offensively invaded Iraq, a country that didn't attack us. We invaded Afghanistan to go after al-Qaeda, even though there were very few al-Qaeda members in Afghanistan. And, of course, Osama bin Laden later on was in Pakistan. And what do? We spent trillions and trillions of dollars, killed hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians, had thousands of our own soldiers die, and the people who were happiest were the defense contractors, who made a tremendous amount of money for more profiteering. Nobody should emulate post 9/11 America. And here he's using the axis of evil framework that was used at the time to say, yeah, war with Lebanon, war with Iran. Hey, it is what it is. And Israel needs to know we got your back 100%. Israel is in the midst of leveling Gaza and killing thousands of civilians on purpose. And he's out there saying, yeah, we're with them, and maybe we'll go to war for them.
Israel, with all the funding of terror and all these terror organizations, are they within their right to fight back and go directly at Iran?
Of course. That was the first, as you noted, the first act of my speakership is that we passed that resolution to articulate that and make it very clear where we stand. The House is back in business, and we're going to stand with Israel.
No brakes in the car. No brakes in the car. That's just a green light. Hey, Israel, if you want to attack Iran, we got your back. If you drag us in, we're with you. We're fine with that. This is, the neocons have a stranglehold right now, particularly on this issue, on everybody in Washington, D.C. And these psychos are the worst of the worst. So understand something, too. He's given other speeches where he appears to be a true believer in the end times prophecy. And in that prophecy, the Jews are supposed to have control of all of Israel, even the disputed territories like, the West Bank and Gaza. The Jews are supposed to have the entire area, and there's going to be war in the Middle East. And then Jesus comes back, gets some of the Jews to convert, kills the rest of them, and ushers in end times where the evangelical Christians go to heaven. This guy believes that. Now, you might be saying, Kyle, come on. That's ridiculous. That's extreme. That's over the top. He doesn't actually believe that. Go watch the video, the reporting that Lee Fong just did, where he talked to a whole bunch of Republican congresspeople. He talked to Pastor Robert Jeffers, who was a top Trump pastor and confidant and ally, John Hagee, all these people. They actually believe it. They think this is a biblical fight. And they see the U.S.'s role as to back up Israel no matter what they do, to support them no matter what, because they have to win in order for Jesus to come back and fulfill the prophecy. And this is who's in control. Look, McCarthy was very, very bad, But McCarthy was not nearly as much of a religious psychopath as this guy. This guy's a true believer. And now he's the most powerful person in the House of Representatives. And there's no, I mean, one of his first actions as Speaker was to call Netanyahu and say, we are 100% with you no matter what you do. This is as they're bombing apartment buildings and hospitals and mosques and marketplaces and doing a siege of over 2 million people, keeping food, fuel, water, power away from them. Killing more than 8,000 people. And this is where we're at. So buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride with this guy. And like I said, we're already in post 9/11 America. That's the feel we're in. That's the feel of the place we're in. And we all feel so ineffectual to do anything to stop it, even though we see the insanity for what it is. Because these are the guys that have control, and we know what they're going to do with it. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.